Hello, everybody. Welcome to TJK Shares. This is the channel where we bring you ordinary people doing extraordinary work around the world. Over the years, we've taken you around the world, showing you, sharing with you, learning with you, relearning with you, and unlearning with you. So today we're excited once again to bring in somebody on outside countries. My people in Uganda like to say outside countries. We've taken you to Brazil, we've taken you to Norway, we've taken you to Germany, UK, every South Africa, everywhere, Uganda, in the villages. Today we bring you our friend from Zimbabwe, Zim. Hoza Hoza today. We are going to have Wendy join us today to share about her work. I've met so many people doing extraordinary things. Wendy is a woman agronomist, and today we are going to be able to dig deeper into farming, into seedlings, into what sustains us every single day. Without farming, we cannot be here. I used to work at Michigan State University in the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. And recently, as one of the hosts of fellows, Wendy came to Michigan State University where we met. And the moment I heard her speak about her work and the passion she has, I said, we have a future guest. Wendy, thank you for accepting our invitation and making time to join us. Please introduce yourself and greet the audience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for awarding me this opportunity to speak today on this platform. I have been following through all the wonderful work and all the wonderful interviews that you have also had on this platform. I'm quite humbled to have been invited to speak here today. Thank you so much. So I'll give you a brief background about myself. As highlighted by Dr. Jackson, my name is Wendy Mazura. I'm an agronomist. I have a passion for agriculture.
As is the tradition, now we are giving you the bird's eye view of the 21-hectare block of SC727 established at Kunatsa Estates, Matepatepa, Bindura in Zimbabwe. It's a beautiful, endless thicket, as you can see, the area of view. There, it was planted in 3 different planting dates, where they started in July, August, until mid-August they are done planting. So it's a beautiful crop indeed. Check out the density, the thick green thicket which we are seeing, and it's weed free, which is to say that it does start with optimum management and the right seed. So 727 is a variety of choice at Kunatsa Estates for green millies, even for summer when they start their irrigated crop next week, which is to say around the 21st to the 25th of October, they'll be starting off with 700 series. So indeed, invest in the right genetics and you won't be found wanting, because farming is a business.
So I have done a lot of work in the agricultural sector. It's in Zimbabwe, as is the case in most of the African countries. Agriculture is a male-dominated environment where if you find any women, they'll be doing the low-end jobs like harvesting, weeding, those low-end jobs that don't really add value, that don't really influence policy. So I think it's going to be exciting today, just talking about it, sharing my experience, and hopefully I'll also get a chance to also just encourage and give advice to a younger version of myself at the end of this, so that they can also just see themselves that they have a lot of value and a lot of potential. As women, we can also do it. So I do believe that there's a space for women in every sector, agriculture included.
Without agriculture, also, we wouldn't be here. And many of us, when we were growing up, our parents said, become a doctor, engineer, lawyer, accountant. What inspired you to pursue a career in agriculture?
Well, I will say, like everyone else, as you highlighted, it's not a career that I had initially thought I would find myself in. I also wanted to become a medical doctor. I wanted to become an engineer, like everyone else. You want to save the world in that way. But then growing up, as I also went on with my education, when I was doing my agriculture at ordinary level, which is the high school level, I managed to see that there's a lot of potential in the agricultural space, because I realized that there's a lot of diversity and a lot of agriculture value chains that have not been tapped into. But at that time, again, suffice to say that it was not enough to convince me that I wanted to be in the agricultural sector as a formidable career choice. So when I did my A levels, I wanted to become a medical doctor. But in terms of my qualifications, I didn't have enough points to get into the medical sector. But I had a lot of points in my agriculture and in my chemistry and my biology. So then I decided to pursue a career that is biology related, because I have a lot of love for plants, a lot of love for just the nature, the environment in which things grow. So I think I then decided at that point to pursue the agriculture space. So when I went to apply for agriculture, I wanted to do a BSc in biology. But then when I got there, I then got some advice. I think it was well timed, and God also intervened in that encounter. I met a particular gentleman who was there, and he was also just perusing through the career choices that one could pick. And then he was telling me that, do you know that in the agricultural space, it's male dominated, and women have a listening ear and an opportunity to make it if they just work very hard. So I then went through that list of career options that were there. Then I saw, in terms of the agriculture sector, there was livestock, there was horticulture, there was engineering, which is irrigation and all the other stuff that goes into agriculture. Then I just stumbled upon agronomy. So agronomy seemed to be encompassing everything, because it was bringing in the horticulture, the plants. At some point, would do a bit of genetics, would do engineering, would also do finance, because there was agricultural economics in that module again. So I just found myself excited that I would do my biology in another way, where it would eventually impact the community and add value to the community, because food security is really something topical in Zimbabwe and in other African countries. I presume that food security remains topical. So it's very, very important for us to also just embrace that. So I then went into the agricultural sector. So going in, I'll say in our class, there were, I think, about 11 girls in our class. And just in general, compared to other career choices or degrees, we were fewer than everyone else, because agriculture has always been a profession that people look down upon. When you think of agriculture, most people think about muddy fields, they think about manual labor, they think about cracking their backs doing manual activities.
Yes.
But they don't know that over the years, agriculture has evolved into so much. There are a lot of opportunities right now in agriculture. There is a lot of equipment which, if embraced and used correctly, it can even improve efficiency. And you can even make a livelihood out of agriculture. You can be a successful farmer, take your children to school. You can even have a fancy and luxurious lifestyle with agriculture. So that's how I got into the agricultural space. And then in terms of my I worked for a fertilizer company from 2012 to 2017. There, I must say, I got a lot of exposure to a wide range of farmers, where they would just come in. You know, there's a time when you think, I think now I'm comfortable. I know almost every day. And then someone comes in and they ask you about granadilla planting. Someone comes you and asks you about strawberries. Someone about bananas, maybe a plant that you're not familiar with. So it helped me to keep on just reading widely, so that I would appreciate the different spaces and crops that are available. So there we were doing mostly fertilizer and agrochemicals. So it also helped again for me to gain confidence in diagnosing problems that plants might face. Do you know that in plants, we actually have plant clinics as well, where farmers can bring their samples and we can give advice to them in terms of diagnosing and treating and even nurturing the crop so that it recovers fully. So it was quite exciting. The journey was quite exciting at that point. And then during the course of the journey in 2017, I then jumped ship, and then I joined a seed company, the biggest seed company in Africa, Seedco, which is the African seed company. So it was really a leap of faith, because in this particular job, I was expected to do what the men were doing, which involved extension services. I was supposed to be traveling for hours and hours on end every day. And sometimes you'd go for 3 days or 4 days without coming back home. So when I joined the organization, they didn't even have one single lady in the agriculture extension space. So I think maybe to some extent they wanted to try it out and see if it would work out. So when I joined, I then told myself that I'm not going to allow this experiment to fail. This has to work. There are no two ways it has to work. So I remember taking on more responsibility than I was supposed to. Sometimes I would get home even late at around 7 p.m., 8 p.m. because I wanted to get the job done. And I would go around the country making sure that I covered as much as I could because I didn't want to be seen as if I was complaining, and it would give room for them to say, no, women cannot do this particular job. So I ended up going the extra mile. I'll tell you maybe one example of my first encounter with a farmer who was not used to seeing a female agronomist. So I arrived at this farm, and this gentleman walks out, and then he comes, and then he sees me, but he keeps looking to see if there's someone else who I'm traveling with, because to him it was not possible for me to be the agronomist who had come to assist him. So he then went on to ask and say, so where is the agronomist? And then I said, hello, say, in our vernacular language, hello, say, hey, my name is Wendy Mazura. I'm here to assist you. And then he, kind of frowned his face. Then he looked at me from top to bottom and top to bottom again. And then he was just thinking, no, Sitco, I think there's something wrong with them. How can they send this little girl to come and give me advice? So I think it was a challenge, and I will never forget that day because I left that place feeling so bad. But when I got back home, I took it as a challenge. And I told myself that I'm not going to let this pull me down. If anything, it gave me the strength to revisit, my notes, revisit the work that I'd done in the past, and just sharpen my tools so that when I went back to the next farmer, I would be equipped in terms of the technical expertise to add value. Because I've seen over the years that if you add value to anyone, they will then appreciate you and they will engage you again in the future. So this time I didn't give them a chance to judge me. When I arrived, I would give them an overload of information, photosynthesis, temperature, climate change and whatnot. And so it also helped me a lot to gain the trust from the farming community to an extent where they were the ones that were looking for me. And because they knew that I would provide the value that they needed. So it also helped me a lot in that sense. And with time, I then also learned another trick where if you go to farmer A and you pick a nugget from there, because we are not no one is a monopoly of information. So you pick a nugget from farmer A, you take it. When you get to farmer B, if you say, but so and so, and this other person is an influencer, so and so is doing A, B, C, and they're doing it like this, and you see that person nodding their head to say, oh, okay. So it really helped. So over the years now, I'm not afraid of anyone. I visit any farm. I am actually the agronomist from Sitco who visits the president's farm. And when the president has visitors, he actually asks that, where is my agronomist? She needs to be here. Because he knows that when I'm there, I can confidently speak about his production because he's doing our seeds from Sitco. I can confidently speak about his production and and show the goodness of the agriculture that is being done. I can go even to the president's farm, vice president's farm, everywhere I can go. Small scale farmer, commercial farmer, I can fit in any community because I've also seen that every farmer, no matter how big or how small, they have a value contribution that they have in the value wage. So I really appreciate that. I don't know if I've not answered, if not all of your questions already.
You have answered and answered even beyond question, which is very good. I like when the guest really anticipate what I'm going to ask and answer it. But I want to go back to the farmer who saw you and asked you where is the agronomist? And this is still a struggle that goes on in the world, surprisingly, with women who are in leadership roles. My ex-wife, who is a professor and taught many years at Michigan State University, Once told me she went in a class, sat down, put her notes down on the computer, and one student came to her and said, "You are sitting in a professor's chair."
Because to the
To her,
because to the students,
you can't
yeah,
be
it
the
wasn't possible.
professor of biochemistry, so you are in the wrong place. And
Yeah.
the girl, let's wait when the professor comes, I'll get up. And then he opened the lecture, and you can imagine. But this is also had something to do with race and diversity here. But for you as an agronomist, who is the pioneer woman who joined Citico? Citico is lucky to have you. And they are lucky to have you because in addition to the work, you also publicize Citico.
Hello everyone. Did you know that Citco is in over 21 African countries where we have a footprint in terms of the presence and the performance of our different exceptional executive genetics? So now we are going to hear from Silas. He's going to give us a few insights as well in terms of the production that is there. Then we'll hear from Mr. Ali. Silas, over to you.
Boa tarde, colegas. My name is Silas, commercial manager for Mozambique. Mozambique has got 3 regions, but basically there's the coastal line, then also the uplands, and also the medium, where there's a bit of drought. And so with Mozambique, we've got a full basket from Citco that we offer.
Indeed, we are the African seed company.
You post on Facebook, Instagram. People need to follow your postings, and I know our friends from your your friends, your fellowship will see Kwesi especially and say hello everybody, which is how you are.
To say hello everyone, yeah, and they'll come across the interview we did together as well, yeah.
So tell us, since you joined the Citico, have you hired other women in the department? And also congratulations for the promotion you got recently. You are now the overall chief agronomist, head of agronomist, and now you're going to the farms also of the president. How many other women are now in your company? Do you know?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that congratulatory note. It's quite exciting. It's a new challenge. It's actually a brand new post. So I'm actually caught in between trying to find how exactly I can bring it to fruition, but I just know that somehow it's going to happen. So thank you so much for that. So having joined Citco, we then employed another agronomist, female agronomist, who was covering a particular province where she was in Manicaland province in Zimbabwe. So she was working as well with other farmers. And then initially, that lady, she was traveling on foot because it was expected that she was covering a very small area. But then with time, I also got to be part of the advocating team to say, if you want her to also reach as far as possible, why don't you give a tool to make her travel and cover a wider area? So we ended up advocating for her to get a car, and she ended up traveling and covering a wide area. In that space, she was doing so well that even the other agronomists from other organizations, they were asking her to come even at their functions and planting meetings, because we usually want to provide the farmer with a one-stop solution in terms of training. So they would invite her to come in and give advice and also share her expertise. Then also we managed to increase in terms of our female workforce in the sales and marketing department as well, where we believe that even the female person is also able to convince a farmer, is also able to communicate the value proposition with any product. So we also ended up employing women in that space as well. And in our vegetable business, we actually have other women leaders as well. We have a female marketing manager in the Citco vegetables. In the trial site, we also have a head of trial stations who is a female. Then over the years, Citco has also employed other females in other more challenging tasks like breeding, where it's a job where you don't find a lot of women going into it. So we actually have about 3 female breeders in our portfolio at Citco out of a total of about 11. So that's commendable, and we look forward to also keeping on increasing. So I would just also like to thank Citco for that open-mindedness awareness that they have of appreciating the role that women can play, and employ on all other organizations to see the value that women can bring to your organization. Because indeed, whatever they take and they take to heart, they'll be able to take it a step further. They would be able to nurture it, because we are natural nurturers of anything that we touch.
Well, naturals of anything you touch. That's good. Let's switch a little bit and talk about mentorship. You have had a great opportunity. You've succeeded in it. You're continuing to succeed. The sky is the limit. Who are the people that mentored you? And now you've already talked about who you are mentoring. So what you can do now is also give advice to a young woman who is watching this going, when I grow up, I want to be like Wendy. I want to be an agronomist. I want to drive that double cabin car, wear those boots, go in the soil and teach people how to turn these things. Because I've spent my entire life really dedicated to helping women and children.
Yeah.
And where we come from, southwestern Uganda, I've seen your soils. I've not visited your farms. I intend to do that. But your soils are dry, they are red. Where I come from, Wendy, the soil is a dark loam soil. No fertilizer, nothing. You put a seed in there and water it, it's magical.
It grows.
And people are still not utilizing farming. Our young people are leaving these areas, the most fertile areas, coming here to the United States to work in elderly homes, what we call sleeping the streets, suffering, working in Walmart, living, going to Kampala to drive border borders. They do not get this value. I would like you to encourage not just girls, but also young people to get there, and the importance of mentoring, what mentorship has done for you and what has done for young people, which is a very crucial part of getting into this career.
Thank you so much. Indeed, mentorship plays a pivotal role in building character and also building in terms of our professional qualifications and getting to where you want to go. So in life, for everyone, you need to have a mentor. You need to have a mentor, either you're having a mentor for a particular section of your life. You can have a mentor or a life coach. So a mentor and a life coach are different in the sense that a mentor is someone who's probably aligned to a particular field. I have mentors in the agricultural sector who I have identified out of their expertise, out of their character, out of their professionalism, to say these people can add value, because you need to also tap onto the expertise of those who have walked the road before you. So I identified mentors in the seed business, where in the seed business, there are some people who have been in the field for longer than myself. There's Mr. Calvin Fambisai, there's another Edgar Rupende. So these are now at the group level, and they have been in the seed business for more than 10 years, more than 20 years even for some of them. Then I've also identified mentors who are outside of the seed business, because you also want to spread your tentacles. So I also identified a mentor in the Ministry of Agriculture space, where I can be able to tap into their expertise in terms of policy formulation, in terms of just the guidance of an appreciation of what happens at a global scale or a governance point of view. Then I also have another mentor who happens to be my father-in-law, but he's an executive at one of the biggest beer brewing companies, Delta, in Zimbabwe. So he has also done a lot of coaching and mentoring. He is also a pastor. So you want to also strike that balance between your spiritual development and your personal growth, so that you end up becoming a well-rounded person. So, for example, one of my mentors then advised me when I went on to the mentorship program. I give maybe feedback to him on what my progress and what I'm doing maybe every month. Yes. So he then advised me to join other similar women in a program which is called Roots. It's an international program which is run by Celebration Church, which was founded in Zimbabwe. So this is a program for professional women, or women who just want to learn more about being a virtuous woman, which is to say that you end up becoming not only a professional, but a professional with balance, who's able to, to know when to stay quiet, to know when to say something. Just that balance, you need it, because the risk is, as you go up the ladder, your friendship swat becomes thinner. So your mentor, yes, so your mentor will not leave you because you're becoming successful, because they will have anticipated your success. But your friends, your family, they might end up becoming intimidated at some point. So mentorship, that's where it's important, because it kind of then brings you and gives you that balance. Then a life coach is then different in the sense that he then touches on different aspects of your life to just see if they can also add value. So it's very, very important for you to also tap into that. So that's how these two things interact. So I've had some mentors. I still have mentors in my life. I have life coaches who I'm working with as well. Then just also to encourage the young people in Africa to say that, yes, we have a continent that has had a lot of challenges because of climate change induced weather vagaries that include a premature termination of the season, flooding in some regions, dry spells. We sometimes have prolonged mid-season dry spells. But we are quite fortunate as well to have the weather where you can produce something throughout the year. Imagine there are some areas where they can have only 3 or 4 or 5 months of sunshine, and the rest of the year is frozen. But in Africa, we are quite fortunate to be able to navigate within that agricultural space, within those different weather vagaries, and still get something. So I would say with the red soils that we have, with the abundant water bodies that we have, it's a matter of us increasing productivity. Productivity is what is lacking in our farmers in Africa, where we are saying that there's a lot of good genetics that is available on the market, for example, from Sitco, which can give you yields of above 10 tons per hectare even. But our farmers are still getting less than a ton. Sometimes it's to do with the management. Sometimes it's to do with the employment of good agronomic practices, which is lacking. So as a continent, we need to go on a global blitz to make sure that we are spreading the extension gospel and touching the most remote farmer, so that they realize that their actions have an effect on their yield, has an effect as well on their food security, come food surplus where they can end up selling for a business. So in Zimbabwe, we have seen that there are a lot of young people who have gone into the space of agriculture recently, owing to what happened with COVID, where people were not able to do a lot of things, and also just in a bid to also just become self-employed, because sometimes the job market is not really forgiving. So with that, some of them have also adopted climate smart farming methods that are making their farming more profitable. It's not about the size of land. It's not about the crop that you're doing. It's about the marketing. It's about the strategic choice of crop that you're going to grow, guided by market forces. So agriculture, dear young people, is actually a science that you can also embrace and you can add value to. And you can even use that knowledge that you might have gained from international explorations. Maybe you went to school and did engineering, you did remote sensing. You bring it to the farm, and then you put that into the farm. It then adds value. It improves on your efficiency significantly.
Very well rounded. You give answers that cover so much. Wendy, you are a mother. No. You are a daughter.
Yes.
You are an aunt. You are a wife. You are a mother. Now you talked about your father-in-law too. You are a daughter-in-law. There are all these different things that pull you in so many different directions, different buckets. As a working woman, the children, husband, and all these other buckets that you have to fill. At the end of the day, how does Wendy relax? Where do you take a deep breath? Some of us play soccer and strain ankles. Some of us run. Some of us read and write. What does Wendy do to relax after all these many buckets you fill?
Thank you so much. So, I believe in being as realistic and open as possible if I want to touch the next life. So allow me to just share that it's not a walk in the park. It's not easy because in Africa especially, there are a lot of expectations and tasks that are associated with women, that are gender-based tasks, that you might feel that, as a woman, you are expected to be the one who cooks. Yeah, if you sometimes marry a husband who wants you to do all the washing for them, all the cooking, it would mean when you get back home, you are expected to do all of that. And then you are expected to be the one, if there are any visitors, if there are any activities in the rural home, you are the one who is expected to do all of this. If you are living in a place where there is no electricity and you need to fetch firewood, back from the workplace, you need to find that alternative source of energy to use for the home. You need to plan the meals as well, to say today you are eating this and that and that, after having come back from a long drive in a very bad road. So I want to tell someone that it's not easy, but it can be done. It can be done with determination, with passion, with persistence. You end up developing a working strategy for yourself. There's no one size fits all in life. You need to find what the balance that works for you. So I would also like them to just appreciate the support system that I have had, because it has allowed me to then come to where I can answer your question, where what you're asking about what I do to relax. Because I have a supportive husband, I have a supportive mother. My father is very supportive as well. My family is just very supportive. So it really helps a lot. The children, though they will ask once in a while to say, you always come home late. But I know deep down they appreciate that it's from hard work, and they know that in future I'm working. In future they will appreciate that I was working hard for them. But it's not easy. As a woman, I don't want to lie to say that it's a walk in the park, but it can be done with determination, consistency, patience. And then if you look at ways to relax, I would say my weekends, which are the days that most people relax, are a bit tricky for me to relax, because in the work that I am in the job space where I am, some of the farmers, they actually are weekend farmers, particularly the decision makers, the politicians, the influencers. So they are weekend farmers. So if you want to catch them, for them to be able to understand the value you're bringing to their farm, you need to go over the weekend. So you're going on a Saturday, you're going on a Sunday in most cases. So in a month, I might have one free weekend, maybe 1 or 2 Sundays in between somewhere there. So to relax, I then try to find a balance between also spending time with my family. So I enjoy taking my kids out to maybe a play center and just watch them play. Maybe I will be doing some reports and, just balancing some messages and responding. But for me, it gives me relaxation to know that at least in all that confusion and busyness, I'm also giving in a bit of time for my family to then just try and strike that balance. So I enjoy spending time with my family and going on relaxing vacations or holidays. I enjoy that as well. I enjoy movies. So sometimes when I'm doing a very difficult report, it's easier for me to be typing and lifting my head, watching a movie. It gives me more energy sometimes, depending on the vibe of the movie as well. Then I also enjoy reading. I enjoyed quite a lot reading the books that you have also written. The children really loved the books that you gave them. So please keep on doing the commendable work that you're doing. I enjoy reading books. So now I'm trying to build a culture of reading motivational books and books that are going to sharpen my specific skills in a specific area. So I'm reading books about financial literacy, and also books that then add value in terms of just boosting your business acumen. So that's what I'm working on currently.
Very good. Wow. You are, again, a busy woman. Do you do yoga? Do you go to spas? Do you take walks by yourself? Or because you work in the gardens also, you are already breathing the oxygen and everything, it's also relaxation.
Yeah, so I would say I walk a lot, because when I visit the farm, the farmer will say, let's go and see that plot. And then when you get to that plot, they say, but there's another plot that I want you to see. Then you go to the next plot, but then you're still thinking, I left my car back there and I need to go back. But so I do a lot of walking within my workspace. I've not really been a yoga person. I've not had a lot of time to do yoga, but it's something that I would want to do. I have only been to the spa twice in my life, but I would also want to go to the spa to use that as a relaxing method as well. because it has been a bit hectic, but I look forward to also doing more to relax and bring that balance in life.
Exactly. Just two more questions because I know we are pressed with time. You have to go back to do more work. It is still early for you, just as early for me. Maybe Sidco can try an exercise program. I've seen so many companies here in the United States now, they create a space for their employees to work out, to bring their dogs in, to bring their children in, something they can think about. But let's talk about technology. You've been farming now for a while from different companies. What role does technology play in the farming? You also touched a little bit earlier on marketing. Farmers, especially those who are in rural areas, farm, yes, and they grow a lot, but sometimes they are limited by the market. And the third thing you touched on, which I appreciate you doing it before I even asked you about, was climate change, so you don't have to repeat. Talk about technology. While you are here at Michigan State University, you visited farms where mechanization is big, but also they have advanced technology of killing weeds, advanced technology in the seeds they use. How is that being incorporated in Zimbabwe and on the African continent? And then what you applied in terms of technology, FinTech in rural farming.
Thank you so much for that very pertinent and very well-timed question, because this is the time that I believe that we really need to embrace technology. There is no other way of doing it. It's either we are on board or we are not. So I've also had to learn the hard way that technology in farming is very, very important. I'm a farmer. I've been farming for 5 years now, having started with about 3 hectares and growing gradually. But last year, I took a leap of faith from 8 hectares to 40 hectares, where I did 22 hectares of maize, 10 soybeans, and 10 sorghum. But then the timing was not correct because of the El Nino-induced drought that we ended up facing. So this was a dryland crop that I had established. So it didn't go well, it didn't end well, and the harvest was not so good. I actually harvested more in the previous years when I was doing on a smaller piece of land. I actually harvested more, but last season was a learning curve for me. My fingers were bent, but I'm not losing hope. I'm going in again stronger this year. Why did I share this story? Because I wanted to bring to light the fact that the dry spell that we faced helped me to appreciate the technology of irrigation. And then during the course of this whole drama of the drought and my crop failing and everything, I then started investing gradually in irrigation. So this year I will reduce in the hectare that I'm going to do, but under irrigation, so that I will be able to reduce the effects of the weather on the cropping program that I do. So irrigation is another very smart, climate smart technology that our farmers need to embrace. And there are different irrigation methods suitable for every farmer. From the smallholder farmer, there's now drip irrigation, whereby one drop of water can add value to the crop and even significantly contribute to its end result. So with drip irrigation, it can start from just 1,000 square meters and go to about an acre, or even a small greenhouse you can even do with a drip irrigation, up to as far as center pivot irrigation, which commercial farmers are using, where they can even be doing 20 hectares, 40 hectares irrigation under pivots. Some of them have one center pivot that can irrigate about 100 hectares in one go. So these are some of the technologies in irrigation. But then there's also technology in the form of mechanization, where we talk about investment in machinery that adds value to the farmer. So in mechanization, what I've realized over the years is that there is a tool for every farmer again, because the smallholder farmer has smallholder farming implements. Did you know that there's even a two-wheel planter, a two-wheel tractor, which can just be used at a small scale? On a very small plot, it can be used. So the community can come together, the rural community, if they each have 0.1 hectares each, then they come together and there's 10 of them, there's 20 of them, they can buy this particular implement or hire it to come and do a service for them. They save on time, they save on costs, and they save on efficiency, because that one implement is going to improve on the efficiency of planting, weeding, spraying, whatever operation was going to be done. So at a small scale level, we are finding that there are even some tools that can help with digging holes, because another cry that our farmers, the smallholder farmers have, is of the backache that comes with the activity in the field. So you can even buy some implements that are going to drill the holes where you're going to be putting your particular plants where you're planting. So there is such technology for smallholder farmers as well. The knapsack sprayer, the 16, 15 liter sprayer, which can also be used to spray insecticides, herbicides, so that you improve on efficiency and managing your crop. Then for the large scale farmers, there's also suitable technology for them as well, where they can even get into fertigation. They are now just applying their chemicals through the same system which is irrigating their crop. And suffice to say, now there's drone technology, which our farmers can also embrace. So in the 7-week program that I attended in Michigan State University, I got a very life-changing experience there, where I got an opportunity to see some of the technologies that our farmers there are using. This is also because the farmers there are doing their production on a larger scale. So they need to invest in such heavy machinery and technology, and labor is also on the lower side compared to what we get here in Africa. So investing in such big tractors and technologies, I got to ride and plant a particular block with a 64-row planter. It was the highlight of my trip. I enjoyed that a lot, and I also got to experience a lot of other machinery which is there in the United States and share with the farmers back home. Another thing that we should appreciate is that we are now a digital world. We are now connected by digital facets. Now we are talking, I'm in Zimbabwe, you are in Uganda, and everyone watching us might be at different corners of the world. But because of technology, you can share a lot. So during the course of my program in the United States, I shared a lot of information of what I was learning, real-time information. Because of the time difference, which was 9 hours, I got to wake up at midnight to make sure that I shared the information of what I was learning there. And our farmers back home here in Zimbabwe, they really appreciated it. When I got back, I was overwhelmed with workshops where people wanted to hear more about a particular topic that I might have covered during the course of the program. So I implore on the Department of State, the United States, and Michigan State University Alliance for African Partnerships to continue on that drive to empower young women, young people, to also get that exposure. Because exposure goes more than just being professional or work-wise. It also goes to a personal level. There are some changes that have also happened to me from just, getting to see what the developed world is doing. Now I'm a better person. So indeed, technology is very important. We need to embrace it. There are no two ways. And technology also comes in the form of the seed that you are using. It comes in the form of the chemistry or agrochemicals and inputs that you are putting into your field. All those things fall into modern technologies.
Wow. What has happened since you left Michigan State? Just a quick update. I know on your social media, I've seen some visitors who came and saw you. I know they're making rounds. Just to make a plug on what has happened. If you have received any grants or no more businesses, share. And then you've already encouraged many people to apply to these fellowships. And then we'll have one last question for you before we let you go.
Thank you so much. So indeed, the program, we have an exchange program. So we had the pleasure of hosting some visitors from the United States, and we took them around, showing them the different activities that we do. So we took them to Sitco. They got to appreciate the size of our plant, where we have the capacity to produce over 20,000 tons of maize or corn. And we can also do about 5,000 to 9,000 tons of soybean, sorghum, and a wide range of other crops. So they got to appreciate that. But what was very exciting was the day that we spent together out in the fields, where we went and we did a pre-planting meeting at a rural household, where we did a practical session of planting with them, and they got to appreciate and see what is there. And as Africans, we are just naturally loving and cultural people. So we got to share with them as well our culture. We got to show them the traditional dances that we have in Zimbabwe. We had children who came to entertain them, to welcome them, dancing and appreciating them. Then They also enjoyed our traditional foods that we prepared for them. There was no food that was not that was wasted on that particular day. We made sure that they had a wide display of options of traditional foods, which I hope they enjoyed. And the food included even a maize meal smoothie, which we call in Zimbabwe maheu. So it was quite exciting to see that. And we then got to visit a commercial farm as well, because it's also important for them to see that as much as 80% of our farming community is rural, we still have a commercial farmer base of 20%, and they take their farming very seriously, which is why they also invest in technologies. We showed them drone spraying technology as a demo as well. We showed them mushroom production. We showed them horticulture, wheat production, center pivot irrigation, which is being done here in Zimbabwe, which is to say, as Africa, I would say we are not as backward as we think or as we would want to think. We are actually, in some facets and in some segments of our population, embracing some technologies that are worldwide, appreciated worldwide.
Perfecto. So you've hosted Michigan State University State Department people while you were here. You went to Washington, D.C. You went to so many different counties. Mike and Peter send their greetings. You presented a project at Michigan State University, which we see how it is flourishing and how you are continuing. You have a promotion. And what I would like to ask you as we conclude, you've summarized and made a case for farming. Ladies and gentlemen who are listening to us, farming is a backbone. It is the livelihood. It's what we all depend on, and we need the best brains, the smartest people out there to continue doing it. And now we see it is even sexy, it's even digitized technology, climate change. We need all this to work together so we can save our world. Wendy, if you were to give yourself advice at 18, knowing what you know now, what advice would that be?
Wow, thank you so much. Well, growing up, you have a lot of expectations. Sometimes you are too tough on yourself. Sometimes you don't even see the value that you have in yourself. So I would tell mini me that believe in yourself. You are much stronger than you think, and there is a lot that you can achieve in life. Dream big. The world is your oyster, and you can really achieve anything in life. That's the mantra that I move with. Even if something is challenging, it gets better the more you do it. It gets better the more you explore it. So never allow challenges to set you back. Never allow negativity that surrounds you to set you back. Just dissociate yourself from negative energy and remain focused on your goal so that you'll be able to achieve something in life. That would be my word of advice. And dear mini me, again, just remember that you are beautiful in the form that you are, in the color that you are, because nowadays some young people feel the need to want to look a certain shade for them to fit into a certain population or community. That's not even necessary. The way you are is enough. As an African woman, you have the power to change the world. You have the power to change the fortunes, even of your family. You have the power to change them. So believe in yourself and never allow yourself to be put down. Women, girls, they can do it. Young people, they can do it. Anyone who sets their hearts to anything can achieve.
Wonderful. Well said. Thank you so much for making time, Wendy. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for advising our young people and all the people who are listening. And may you continue to flourish in your career. May you continue to touch so many lives and to plant so many acres. We all appreciate you and love what you do and depend on it. And soon and very soon, we'll see you again in the United States lecturing. Write a nuggets you give every single day. When you put them together, it will be a book that your children will appreciate. It will be a book your grandchildren one day will appreciate, and it will be a legacy Zimbabwe will embrace forever and ever. I declare it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doc. I'm quite excited and humbled to have been on your channel today. Suffice to say that as Africans, please remember that as the population continues to grow, not only for Africa, but for the world, people will still need to eat. People will still need to wear clothes. People will still need raw materials. So agriculture is not going to go out of fashion anytime soon. It might change in form, what we eat. It might change in color, size, or shape, but we will still be eating. So agriculture will remain relevant. So find a plug in the agriculture value chain, diverse as it is, and make sure that you make the difference that matters. In life, just find an area where you have the greatest passion and you will definitely never work for a day in your life.
Perfect ending. Please continue to share, continue to subscribe, and continue to inspire more people. We appreciate you here on our channel, and we'll continue to strive to bring you more ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Continue to learn together and relearn together. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.